5 things I love about my 2020 Honda Civic Si. I've been meaning to make this video for a while. I'm going to talk about 5 different categories. So the first category is aftermarket support. Since the 10th gen Honda Civic started selling in North America in late 2015, they've sold 1,400,000 of these 10 gens. And a good majority of those are the 1.5 turbo engines, the L15 B7. So there are a lot of these cars running around, and it's no wonder parts manufacturers like MA Performance, who had never supported Hondas before, now they support the 10th gen because it's a turbo car, has more components, it's more parts for them to make and sell, and there are a lot of different parts for this car available. What I love about the 10th gen community is there is so much information available, both on YouTube and the Civic X forum, and also the Facebook group, although the Facebook group can be a little dicey. I try to stay off there. My 2 favorite references for learning about the aftermarket parts for this car are PRL. They have a phenomenal blog post on the Civic X forum, which I will link in the description. That is what I've been using to reference a lot of my talking points throughout the time I've owned this car. My second one is Derek Robinson. Derek Robinson, you guys must know who he is. He is the go-to tuner for custom tunes for this car. You should definitely follow him on Instagram. The guy knows this stuff. One crazy thing, they're not even done making parts for this car yet. 271 is currently producing the W2 drop-in turbo, and MA Performance just released their intercooler for this car a few months ago, and they have even thrown around the idea of developing aftermarket camshaft upgrades for this car, which is awesome. Another great thing about turbo cars in general, and especially this one, is that you have the option to just buy an off-the-shelf tune. So the Fearable Stage 1.5 tune, TSP Stage 1, and MA Performance even has a Stage 1 tune, although I don't see too many people running that tune. TSP was the most popular one, and then Fearable came out. I'm not sure what the sales numbers are, but I know a lot of people are running the Fearable tune. I know I was one of the first, and I love it. And I've alternated between the TSP and Fearable tune. They're both awesome. But it's as simple as, if you want to get extra about 50 horsepower to the wheels on this car, it only costs about $650 if you want to get the K-Tuner version 2 with the screen like I have. And the reason it only costs $650 is because when you buy from Two Step Performance or Fearable, they include their Stage 1 tunes for free with your purchase. So that is an extremely inexpensive way to gain a lot of power for this car. Obviously, I'm going to talk about the supporting mods because those are very, very important, especially the intercooler. But in my opinion, having owned a 9th gen and 10th gen, I can't forget about the 8th gen because the 8th gen has a great aftermarket support as well. But in my opinion, the 10th gen, it has the best aftermarket support for out of all the Honda Civics. So if you like modifying your car, this is a good one to have, especially the Type R, even the non-SI turbo hatchbacks. There are a bunch of options for modding those cars. The second thing I love about this car is the powertrain. And when I first bought this car, I came from my first 9th gen, which I loved and I should never have gotten rid of. But I was very hesitant to come to this platform because it wasn't a K-Series and it didn't have the traditional iVTEC. Now they advertise that these cars have VTEC, but it's not like the old VTEC where you would actually feel it and hear it kick in, and it would dramatically change the power curve. But the Stage 1 tunes will fix that, especially a custom tune. So back to November of last year when I first got this car, I came from a C5 Corvette and a 2013 Honda Civic Si, and this felt like a downgrade at first. But I was wrong, and I will explain why. Stock for stock, this doesn't seem like much of an improvement over the 9th gen, even the 8th gen. There are a couple videos of people running a stock 10th gen versus a stock 9th gen, like this one right here.
Okay, right next. Give the passenger though.
And as you can see, they were pretty much dead even. What I noticed right away, the power band was much more usable. You didn't have to rev, I mean, the 9th gen, there's basically no power under like 4,000 RPM. And with this car, it felt way different. Peak torque is much lower in the power band opposed to the older Honda Civics, which you can really feel, and it's awesome. It's a great car. So I covered stock versus stock. Okay, so now let's talk about modifying the car. Dollar per dollar, you're gonna get more bang for your buck by far with this car opposed to the older Honda Civics. I just told you that with the purchase of a K-tuner, getting your tune included with the purchase, you're gonna gain around 50 horsepower to the wheels and a lot of torque. You're gonna gain like 70, 80 foot-pounds of torque. Here's an Instagram post that I found on Derek Robinson's page. He had a customer bring in a 10-gen Civic Si with the PRL Cobra cold air intake, a catted downpipe, and intercooler and an exhaust. And he was able, on 93 octane gas, he was able to produce 252 wheel horsepower, which is pretty damn good. And I estimate that the retail cost of all those parts that he had on that car cost this much. So with that much money, if you take that and spend that much money on an 8th or 9th gen, you are not going to be near 250 horsepower to the wheels. With my 9th gen right now, I'm barely over 200 wheel horsepower, and I have catless downpipe, the best cold air intake that is on the market for the 9th gen, and a full 3-inch full race exhaust. And with Honda Flash Pro, I spent this much money. So you can see that my money is definitely more effective with the 10th gen. Even if I were to add the RBC intake manifold on the 9th gen, I would still be under 220 horsepower, and then my cost would be up here. Also, by the way, my dad just sent me this shirt. He actually got this at the Monsters of Rock Festival in Germany in 1991. Enough comparison, because the 10th gen is just, it's a completely different car. If it didn't have a Honda badge, it'd be kind of hard to tell that this is even a Honda. I mean, it's so different from the older Civics. Before I end the powertrain discussion, I will say this car does have a weak point in the rods, so you need to be careful. Get a good tune from Derek Robinson, or even get an e-tune from John Vega at Fearable. They'll both do a great job to make sure this engine is running healthy. But a weak point is the transmission, and as we all know, the clutch. Some people, even on the stock tune, have reported their clutch going out, and they've had difficulty with Honda honoring the warranty for the clutch. So it is a problem. Luckily, with all the abuse I put my car through, I'm still on the stock clutch. So I don't know if my car is an anomaly, or if for 2020, Honda secretly strengthened the clutch because they knew that there were complaints about it in the 17 to 19 models. I don't know. Car manufacturers do that sometimes, where they make small improvements in the car and then don't tell us in a press release. In my opinion, it is always best to buy the last year or two of a car for a certain generation, but I don't know, that's just speculation at this point. But Honda had to keep the cost down to keep the SI at the price that they always have. It's always been thousands of dollars cheaper than the GTI, Focus ST, WRX, and others. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is the looks of this car. I absolutely love the looks of this car, and I wasn't the biggest fan when it first came out. I mean, I had just purchased my 9th gen about 7 or 8 months before the 2017 Civic Si came out. So I was still, head over heels for my 9th gen. I have grown to appreciate the looks of this car in many ways. I knew going into purchasing a 10th gen that I wanted a coupe because I loved the looks of it. And a really important thing to note is that this has a much lower center of gravity than the 9th and 8th gens. I wish I had my 9th gen here so we could look at them side by side, but just take my word for it. I mean, I have both the cars, so I look at them side by side all the time in the parking lot. And this one absolutely sits lower and wider. And you can absolutely feel the handling improvements that they made with this platform. And then the last thing I love about the looks of the outside are the small changes they made to the 2020s. It looks like a hockey stick, but I love that little addition, and they took away the honeycomb part of the grille, or the fog light cover, and I absolutely love it. One thing I can't stand about the 9th gen is that it has chrome all over the front bumper and the rear, and this one doesn't have any of that, except for the badges, and of course this right here, which almost everybody chrome deletes. And I did have a chrome delete, I took it off though. And then going to the inside. First things first is these seats are amazing. Well, maybe not amazing, but for a $25,000 car, they're awesome. And for 2020, they added in the red accents right here, which, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of. Red on the inside of cars is kind of overdone in my opinion. But they also added this red trim right here, which, if you don't know, Honda actually offers different colors. You can get green, blue, yellow. If you go to one of the parts distributors websites like collegehillshonda.com, you can buy those and they're OEM. So the fourth thing I love about this car is the potential. And we've already covered the stage 1 applications for this car, but did you know on the stock tune, you can make as much as 216 wheel horsepower without a tune, without even plugging a K-tuner into your car. I've already referenced this article several times in my YouTube videos, but PRL's blog post is phenomenal. They provided extensive details during their research and development of their catted downpipe, their intercooler, and the Cobra cold air intake for this car. And with their Cobra cold air intake with the street mass airflow housing, their intercooler, and their catted downpipe, they were able to produce 216 wheel horsepower. So if you don't want to tune your car, if you don't want to ever plug a K-tuner or Honda into your car, you can still gain a good amount of horsepower over stock just with those bolt-ons, which is pretty cool. So I emailed Derek Robinson. I asked him, hey, does this car have a relearn ECU? And he said to a certain extent. So that is why this car is able to make extra horsepower without even tuning. The PRL Cobra cold air intake alone will give you about 15 horsepower, which is, I mean, that's crazy. That's awesome. I remember when I installed my Cobra cold air intake back in January, you could definitely feel a difference. The last thing I love about this car is the reliability. Now, I'm going to briefly touch on the oil dilution issue. I'm going to use this article here from Torque News, but basically the only cars that were affected with this were the CR-V and Honda Civics from 2016 to 2018. So mine is obviously in the clear, and I heard a little bit about this issue before I bought this car, and I went ahead and bought it anyway because I figured by 2020 they, if it was a problem, they would have fixed it, which Honda did. So what they did was offered an extended warranty for people who may be affected. It's not a problem anymore. Now, with all the abuse I've put this car through, for the people that have been watching my channel for a while, you have seen all of the polls I've done with this car, especially my performance comparison videos, where this car may or may not be going full throttle next to another car that's going full throttle at the same time. Before coming out to record this video, I went and counted all the race videos I've done with this car. I've made 14 race videos with this car, and I estimate that just during those videos, I did a total of approximately 70 polls. And a poll could be anything from 30 miles an hour to 100, and then they can be from 30 miles an hour to 130. So this car has gotten down, and it has really earned my respect. And also, off camera, I've floored this car plenty of times. And yes, I'll repeat again, I am on the stock clutch. I've had no transmission grinding issues, nothing like that. No head gasket issues. I'm gonna do a poll right now. All right, I'm gonna get some distance between the car in front of us. Let's check for coppers. You see any? It's dependable, it's reliable. That doesn't even shake me up anymore, just because I've done it so much with this car, and I'm so used to it on a stage 1 tune. Want to do another one?
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
We'll do a third gear pull. She pulls good from a 50 roll, guys. Remember that. If you're gonna go up against the car, your best shot is always 100% of the time a 50 roll, no matter what you're racing. About to pass this guy.
It always makes me nervous when you do pulls in traffic.
Why?
Because people are unpredictable.
Yeah, like me. You just gotta be the one who's being unpredictable. Alright, so that concludes my video. I really hope this helps you guys out. If there's someone out there who's on the fence about purchasing a 10th gen or not, it's a great car, and I love it, and I do not regret buying this car at all. Just having this car on a stage 1 setup with full bolt-ons, I mean, it's gonna be a treat. and you're probably going to upset some people, whether that's a WRX or an STI, whatever it may be. I mean, this car responds very well to modifications, and it is reliable. So that's all I have for the video. Vivian. Oh, babe, we forgot to show them the What the Hill hoodie.
Oh, you can't really see it right now.
I think looks best. Just try to do a good job filming.
Have I sucked lately?
If I have, no. If I say something and then I'm making a point, and then when I hit my point, I make like a face, like a
Zoom in.
zoom in, because it's kind of funny.